and what he does. And Kitty, anything else? I'm just blabbing.
I just was putting the recording on. It's been a very eventful day. The energy of today is about activating spirit and being awoken. And Amy has spent the day being awoken.
Yeah, the wake up call has just been slapping me side the head, but it's all good because apparently I was asleep. I needed to be woke.
So Joe,
Yeah, I think the universe will get our attention no matter what, right?
That's right.
We are so excited to have you. And thank you. We're recording this, so there'll be other people watching you. I think we're up to like 97, 100 people between as time goes on. So Joe, I was so happy Cinnamon introduced us and asked you to come on. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Meanwhile,
sure. My gosh. So I was born in Folsom, Pennsylvania, 55 and a half years ago. And so I have been doing personal development work for a very long time. I was talking to a friend of mine today out on the West Coast, and we were just talking about that journey of, how do we continue to grow every single day, and what are the things that, like you were talking about earlier, Amy, when we first started, like, oh, the universe was getting your attention. Yeah. How do we continue to grow consciously and not play victim blame or, So I was very much in that place of feeling very victim 30 some years ago. And I started meditating in the late 80s, which helped a lot. And then in the early 90s, in 1993, I had a real big whack in the in the ego, I guess. And Spirit said, hey, we've got some work to do here. Would you like to really be awake and do it? So that started this whole shamanic journey for me. I dove really deeply into shamanic work, working with teachers here in the United States who are no longer on the planet, and in Peru as well, who are on the planet. And I just really gave up a lot of stuff in order to pursue that path of mindfulness. Looked a lot at Buddhism and Buddhist teachings, Thich Nhat Hanh's work, Pema Chodron. I love Byron Katie, Wayne Dyer, Eckhart Tolle, all these consciousness leaders. And my ass-kicking teachers, Lorna Roberts and Rosa Wilson, you talk about some powerful teachers, but powerful women. And I really needed women to mother me, to really hold me. And so I've tried my best. And this is another thing a friend of mine and I were talking about today is I've really tried my best to pass along the compassion that I received to students, to clients, people who are my essential oil customers, as well as people who come to me for the intuitive shamanic work, the mindfulness training. Yeah.
I'm fortunate enough to be in your Wednesday night class. And it's amazing when I get myself there, what you are able to pick up. I'm absolutely floored. And what I've learned, it's just been incredible.
I think the practice, the art of deep listening, not just to ourselves, but when you're listening consciously to other people and you're not just waiting to speak, is a huge thing that I would get whacked on constantly from my teachers and guides in spirit. They just really said, really? You're going to go there? But you know what? I was thinking the other day, and I told someone this, hi, Marcia, that I was telling a friend of mine that I was remembering my teacher Rosa said, "Oh, Joe, you know, if you didn't have anything to complain about, what would you talk about?"
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah, that shut me up. Me up.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
And
I
another
love how
time,
you, okay, go ahead.
go ahead.
I just want to say, I love how you've had this big, long journey and it just keeps evolving. And I feel like there's a lot of people on our site that are kind of, in all stages of their journey and they
Yeah,
keep evolving. So it's kind of cool because you've had some really intense things like, being in the jungle and doing that kind of stuff. But now you're still having some incredible experiences just in your everyday work and that type of thing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, even just being here in New York City again for a year and a half, kind of thought I was coming here temporarily, and then COVID hit, and I just said, "Okay, I guess I'm just here." Um, and using Central Park as a place to ground, because I live just from Central Park on the east side of Manhattan. I'm using Central Park as a place to ground and watch the signs from nature. Yesterday, on Saturday, I had walked out of my apartment building and I looked up, as I tend to do here in the city a lot because I want to see the sky. A heron flew over. A few months ago, I was lying in bed. I turned and there was a falcon sitting on the fire escape. And so I have followed these falcons for months now. As I walk to the park, I see them start to circle, and I go into the park and I see them. I know where one of the nests are. So these things that keep me aware and that can keep other people aware, going into nature, even if it's in a big city like New York, using nature to ground us, to calm us down, and to awaken us.
Yeah.
Sure.
Keep us in the present. It keeps us
Yeah,
present,
yeah,
definitely.
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So with your essential oils, do you do like different mixes or tell us a little bit about that? I don't think we've had anybody on that's talked about essential oils before.
Oh, well, every day I use essential oils. I actually have my frankincense oil here that I used before we started. And I use them on my crystals and stones as well. Usually frankincense, sometimes arbor vitae, sandalwood, cedarwood, those kind of oils that are woody and cleansing oils. But I love using the oils for meditation as well as for, very, very specific physical issues. Like I got really deep into oils just about 7 years ago, when I had a big turnaround with my colitis symptoms that I'd had for 30 years. And I'd been playing around with essential oil since 1988, but I was kind of dabbling. I never had a big kapow experience on the healing front, but I had this issue that I thought I would just have to manage and deal with for the rest of my life. And suddenly I don't have symptoms after so many years. So that has been a really beautiful addition to my healing work, for my personal development, because I really look at these oils that I feel are very, very pure, probably the purest oils I've ever worked with, as allies and spiritual guides. When I go to the oils in the morning, I say, what do I need? Tell me what I need, and I listen and I wait, and then frankincense. Oh no, it's Siberian fir. No, it's peppermint. So I just wait, and that's what I do with my practice, my deep listening and meditation practice. I wait until, or when we do our Wednesday spirit messages group, I just wait for information to plop in. I don't rush it.
Well, that's really interesting because I don't think I've ever heard anybody use them in that quite like that, but it makes sense. So you just it's kind of like what we do with crystals in the morning. At
Yes.
least that's my practice.
An oracle card.
What's calling to me? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
trust the oracle cards, right? You know, I go to my oracle cards in the morning, I shuffle them, and I wait until one just flies out of the deck or one kind of sticks in my hand, and I feel like, turn that over, you know, boom. It's the same way with the oils, and you can use oracle cards with the oils, with the crystals, with your meditation. It's all this one thing. And this is what, you know, I have actually struggled to accept the fact that I have a multitude of sources. You know, it's not just like the Peruvian stuff that I've learned in the shamanic traditions of Peru. You know, that's never really stuck for me, as far as like, you know, someone once said, you should call it Peruvian shamanism. And it never made sense to me because, you know, a teacher of mine there said, there's no such thing as Peruvian shamanism, first of all, but it exists there. Shamanism certainly is deep, deep in the collective consciousness of the native people there. But you know, just to be a twisted hair, you know, just to have this whole, all these different modalities at our disposal and not cling to an identity. That's what it's been for me. You know, like cling to an identity as this one tradition or this one practice. You know, that's just been my path.
So if somebody was interested in essential oils, like, and they were talking to you about it, would you like, I'm so fascinated about it. So sorry, I keep bringing it up, but
No, it's great.
would
I
you be
love
like,
this.
I feel like this is something for you, kind of like when we do a reading, like with oracle cards and stuff. Do you do that with essential oils for other people? Do you sell them right?
Yes. So
Yes.
when I work with someone specifically with essential oils, some of those people don't know that I do intuitive work. They don't know my shamanic background, right?
Okay.
So because they come to me with, you know, because I'm advertising an introduction to essential oils class, or this Thursday at 8 Eastern time, I'm teaching a class about using essential oils for our pets, right? So people might come and say, you know, I've got this digestive issue or this sleep issue. Well, I know there are certain oils that I can recommend for that, right? But if, you know, sometimes, like if someone's dealing with a sleep issue, they might need something else besides lavender, which is kind of the standard one that I would recommend. Like, here's lavender, start with this, and then maybe vetiver, or, you know, there's some blends that the company that I work with has, you know, has designed scientifically to address these issues. And sometimes it's much more intuitive, and it can be intuitive in that range of, okay, here are the options for sleep. I really think this one is the one. So, and I love that. I love that that I can use that in that intuitive sense, you know, to support people's well-being. And that's how I feel like when I do my intuitive work, when it's flat out like I'm doing messages from spirit, you know, I trust that guidance, right? And it's taken practice to trust that. I used to really question it 25, 30 years ago because it was very new, and it was sometimes scary to me that what I would hear or see, it would, you know, I had to harness that energy. And my teachers helped me do that, thank God. Because in the beginning, I really thought I was going bonkers. So.
Oh, yeah. We have many people here will say, oh, I feel like I'm crazy. I don't know what to follow. I don't know what to do. I don't know, you know, and so they end up doing nothing and being frozen. Is there something like you would give them advice, like as a practice kind of to try? And my audio's bugging me.
Out and keep asking for help, because the universe is going to plop it down in front of you one way or another. You know, like I was saying, when I had a big shakeup in June of 1993, I literally was shaken off the ground, and I was shaking, and my eyes were closed. I couldn't open my eyes. My hearing became so acute. It was like any little crinkle of a leaf, or it was just so loud. All the sounds around me were so loud. And then I started hearing this very distinct voice tell me how to breathe and that my body would come back down to the ground, because really the only part of my body that I remember being on the ground at that point was my sacrum. Everything else was off the ground and I was shaking, and I don't even know how long that lasted. A friend of mine was with me. We were meditating in my yard, in Jersey City, New Jersey.
A sacred place.
Hey, you can have your experience anywhere, right? Full moon in June of 1993. And it just really shook. And I was wanting help anyway, because this rage was coming out of me over a 2-year period, just this uncontrollable rage. And I was so scared of it. I was really scared of it. And then that experience happened. And then I started having these big psychic hits, and, it just felt so out of control, because it was very visual. It was very clairaudient. It was, sometimes smells would trigger stuff. So I just said, God, I think I'm going nuts. I remember sitting on the steps of the brownstone I was living in with my dogs, just sitting there going, well, here we are. I couldn't sleep all night. It was dawn, and I was just like, I think I've snapped. And then my neighbor introduced me to the women who became my teachers. Within a very short time, I was working with them, and they were just relentless with me. They were it just chokes me up, because they just held me. One of them used to have to hold me down sometimes, because the stuff that was coming out of me was so humongous, but I just bow to those women, because they just did it for me.
Yeah. But, that makes a good point, though. I think that so the universe brings us what we need, you know what I mean? And so what's the odds that your neighbor introduces you to these women that have made such a profound impact on your life? I mean, it's not random. Like I always say,
No.
that it's too random to be random.
Yes.
So in that sense, the universe brings you what you need if you're open to it, and you're in that space.
And I had these esoteric, questions, and I think I told you when we met a week or so ago that, as a 9-year-old, I used to sit on my parents' bedroom floor and read Genesis from the Bible, and Revelation. So I was obsessed with Genesis and Revelations, the middle stuff. It was like, okay, I'll get there. But, and my mother had Edgar Cayce books. So I was reading that, and I was, fascinated by ESP. And when the movie Carrie came out with Sissy Spacek, the Stephen King thing, I was so telekinesis. I can do that, So, it was there in me. The curiosity was lodged at birth, I believe. It was there. It was just waiting to when I would say, now is the time, and that was my first Saturn return when that all happened. 27.
Yeah, because I think sometimes what happens is what you were experiencing, people end up at a doctor and on medication.
Yes, go to meditation, and you might need medication. I don't know. But yes, there are plenty of people who may be medicated, and maybe meditation, and maybe some, teachers like I had. I don't know. If I had gone another direction, maybe I would have chose pharmaceuticals. I have no idea. That's not where what spirit had in mind for me. So, and nothing wrong with medication, right? So,
right, for sure.
No, nothing wrong with it. But sometimes I wondered over the years, even with my own anxiety, that they gave you medication. Now that I meditate and try to pay more attention, my whole life is calmer.
Yes, when we bring that mindfulness in, when we go to the breath first, if we can just pause and just take a breath, it can change our lives. It can change the course of our day. Before I step out of bed in the morning to start my day, I like to just check in with my breath. I like to make sure that my emotions are not all wild all over the place, that nothing is feeling too heavy. And fortunately, I have the time right now to do that. But even when I was had to be somewhere at 7 o'clock in the morning, this was my practice also, because I have said to myself, I do not want to step into my day, physically, literally step into my day with some big anger or distress or an unchecked, discomfort in my physical body. I want to start it off with some sort of mindfulness and awareness. And, I don't know if during the day that I'm going to be confronted by something that's going to make me snap,
Right.
but who knows?
No, I'm exactly the same way. I have the practice in the morning, and if I don't do it right then before I even get out of bed, the day gets too involved. I can't be as mindful, and that's just for me. But that's how I have to do it too. I just want to start my day that way, because once I get out of bed, other things take over.
Yeah, and I have talked to people who said, I can't meditate. I've tried, and I say, okay, before you get out of bed in the morning, open your eyes, look around, say thank you, close your eyes again, take some breaths, and just ask yourself how you're feeling. How are you emotionally? How's your body? Anything weird in your neck or in your lower back or in your feet, and then that could take 3 minutes and you're done. That to me can change the direction of one's day, right? So it can be really simple. And I think, sometimes the human mind can make things so complicated. We just F ourselves up all the time by overthinking stuff. And it's like, what am I doing? I have like multiple master's degrees in that. So of course, overthinking, I got a degree from here and over from here. So yeah, it's nuts what we do. We're crazy people.
Yeah, we are.
We have, but thankfully we can find our way back. What does Thich Nhat Hanh say, to the safe island of ourselves, or something like that. It's really a beautiful thing that he has said. And yeah, safe harbor of mindfulness, or whatever it is. It's just, it takes practice. And sometimes I think the human mind is so distracted by so many things. Safe island of myself. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you. We really, this is part of the mindfulness practice, right? It's like being aware minute by minute, moment by moment, of where our mind is taking us. What I like to say is, am I hopping on the crazy train, or am I choosing the peace train? I would like to think I'm choosing the peace train more often, but certainly there are moments in the day where I know I'm on the crazy train. I don't have to go to the next stop on the crazy train where more crazy is collected. I can recognize that I've stepped onto the crazy train, take a moment, and then I can step back onto the peace train. And the peace train is not like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to wait, hours or days or months or years for it. It's here always now, right? The peace train is us. So it's not like we have to go anywhere. And the crazy train is an option too. So practice, it's constant practice.
Yeah. And I love that, because you can just change it like that. You don't have to
Yes, you
stay
can.
in it.
It
You
is
don't have
so
to stay in the
possible.
crazy. Change it, go where you need to go. Yeah, definitely. That's good.
And I think that all of us here, all the folks that I can see, and I know for myself, I know it's possible because I've done it. I know it's possible to like feel that tornado of and to go, whoa, I'm starting that cycle. So let me just step away. I adopted a cat. I haven't had a pet in like 8 or 9 years. I adopted a cat from the local shelter in November, and she's a great teacher when it's 4:19 in the morning and she's like, hey, you should be up and feeding me. I don't see any reason why you're not awake. So I sometimes at night, because I have caught myself in the morning going, stop it. It's only 4:19. She has no idea what time it is, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to eat now, and I'm just, calling the chef. But I have to say to myself sometimes before I go to sleep at night, like, should she wake you up before you're awake, be kind.
Yeah.
It's such a good practice, you know? And sometimes I fail. I don't always meet that. And sometimes I do. And when I do, I'm so proud of myself. I'm so happy. I have to say, it's like, oh, and then I have so much love and compassion for her. It just exponentially all that grows when I can meet myself when I can meet myself with compassion and just say, oh, all she wants me to do is get out of my bed, walk to the kitchen, put a little food in her contraption that she has to work to get out, which, you know, Jackson Galaxy, the cat guy, is fantastic, by the way. So, and then I can go back to bed and maybe I fall asleep or I meditate or whatever. But even before I get out of bed to feed her, I check in with myself, like, because I don't want to get out of bed like, oh, you damn cat, oh, you're waking me up, or it's 4:12, I should be asleep. Well, obviously I should be asleep if I'm awake. If I should be asleep, I'd be asleep, right? So
Oh,
everything is
I
OTT.
love that.
I do too.
What a great difference to think when I wake up. Oh, if I should be asleep, I would be asleep. Just accepting the moment.
Well, that's how it was during the height of COVID here in New York City. You know, I'd be awake I'd fall asleep at like 5 in the afternoon, wake up at 8, go back to sleep at 11, wake up at 2, and be up until 7 a.m. And I would say, gosh, this is really wild. I should be asleep. And then I'd say, but I'm not, you know, and I know a lot of people during those months, like mid-March through the end of May, and even into the summer, a lot of people's sleep was just way off. And I really think that we were being very much recalibrated during those times. And, you know, Spirit was doing her work on us, you know. And, you know, sometimes we need to be anesthetized and sleep for hours so we can get all the downloads, because we might interfere egoically if we were awake. So it's like, but the breathe in, go to sleep, forget about it, let Spirit do her work.
That's funny. I love the part, Kitty. I thought you were going to talk about the part about, you know, saying before you go to bed, if the dog or the cat wakes me up tonight, I'm just gonna, you know, go with it.
It's a good practice.
It is a good practice because, you know, I feel that way. Sometimes my dog likes to lick his paws and I will wake up. It wakes me up, but I'm gonna have to try that, you know. And so sometimes I'm a
Are
little
you sure it's his paws?
Huh?
It's not usually his paws.
I was thinking that, but whatever.
Okay. No, it's his paws.
Yes.
Because
Well,
he can.
I'm gonna say it's his paws, whether it is or not.
More polite.
Yeah.
Kitty.
But I think that that's just a good point in general about setting. I've never really thought about setting my mind. I've thought about setting my mind for dreams, but my mind for waking up already too. You know, kind
Yes,
of.
and sometimes when I was working a full-time job, you know, I'd have to be somewhere at 6:30 in the morning for a client, or, you know, and I'd be working all day. And sometimes I'd be awake, you know, with my partner, you know, having a very intimate time until 2 in the morning, or we'd just be awake talking, or I just not being able to really, the body just doesn't want to go to sleep. So I would say to myself, I probably will only sleep 4 hours, but when I awake, I will be calm, clear, energized, and I will be wide awake and ready to start the day. And I would set these intentions before I go to sleep, you know, and it always works for me. It always works. So
I love that.
with
Yeah.
my cat, because I don't want to impose my bullshit onto this innocent, gorgeous creature, you know, she doesn't deserve that.
Yeah.
But don't you, wouldn't it be interesting if governments would do these kind of things? Members, if they sat down, I would say, like, wouldn't it be interesting before a cabinet meeting in the United States, or a parliament meeting in the UK, or, you know, any government institution or any corporate decision, you know, these boards or these committees, to really set an intention, not just like, we need to make, $2 million this quarter, which sets the ego off in a really interesting way sometimes. But if they said, we really want to create peace, which is why I love that Marianne Williamson, when she was running for president, she was very much about this Department of Peace, right? And I think MLK Jr. talked about that, or correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure. But, I think that would be such a good focus if we could have leaders. And this is why I'm really excited that Joe Biden has appointed so many women positions in the cabinet and elsewhere. So,
well, just like something that you said earlier too about listening, though, not having your response or your rebuttal or whatever ready. They could learn a real lesson there, set that intention, but then also, to really listen and not be formulating, the crap that they just, spew at each other, because it's really apparent to everybody watching or that sees that they don't really listen to each other.
No,
They just
they
have
come
their
with their
own
talking
agenda.
points, right? They come with an agenda. This is why it's so, I found the past several years in the United States, as from a political government perspective, so interesting, that there was so much to learn from that. How, for me, it was like, many of it was what not to do, how to be as a human being. But also, how do we want to be as a collective going forward, right? The polarity of the last, since maybe 2008, let's say, in the United States governmentally has been so extreme. And I think that's a really good opportunity to say, crazy train, peace train. What do you want to ride, folks? So,
yeah.
And one of the things that occurs to me, maybe you can help out. Like, I'm like essential oils, and I'm going to be picking your brain more and more about how you choose them and what you do. But can you talk to a little bit? Because one of the things we get lost in the talking points is the focus on time. And we often talk about jumping timelines and trying to figure out how you deal with time. And maybe there's some more for me, I would like some more mindfulness things, not to use the clock or how to use the clock.
Well, I think that we have trained our bodies really well to believe that there's such a thing as time. We've trained, and our nervous system will tell us, which is why I would love more of us, including myself at times, to do more work on our nervous system, to really maybe have the, sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system on either side of the spine, massage. You can use a tennis ball or something, and with the intention that you're going to release some of the patterning, or go to a shaman, or go to a really good, like, Akashic Records healer or something like that. Find someone that you vibe with and trust to help you repattern yourself so that you are not egoically attached to the concept of time, right? But that, like, I knew tonight, like, well, 8:00 Eastern time, we're starting this Zoom call, right? And I made a commitment to show up. It's not like, well, time doesn't exist, so they'll still be there at, this thing called 11 p.m. I can have the human experience, but also understand that, and this is my challenge often, is here's the human experience, but here's also the non-linear, just spirit, piece of me, piece of the world, piece of the cosmos that I am. And if I can grow that, then I can show up easily. I can show up on time. I can show up happy. I can show up like perfectly rested with 4 hours of sleep, right? After I worked 16 hours and had time with my partner and whatever, and you can train your mind to work for you instead of the way it often works for us, which is because we've trained it in a certain way and we've just repeated mantras, that we've believed our thoughts over and over again. So we've conditioned ourselves in a way to just not think that we're slaves to our own thoughts, actually. So it's just recycled bullshit all the time. Are we ever having an original thought? I don't know. So.
Oh, I like that.
I do too. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, that idea to retrain and you know, well, and I know well, first of all, I was given a lovely proboscis that works really well. That's one reason I'm so interested in essential oils and things, because I do react to smells, you know. And so like, is there anything you can think about for retraining minds or helping relax, or that how do you work with them?
Breath work, any kind of breath work, which could be just like I said, you pause, you take a breath, because most of us breathe very shallowly, meaning unless I really am conscious. I worked with a great voice coach in the mid 90s here in New York. And I remember we would start the class by like sitting around in a circle, and she looked at me, she said, "You're not breathing." I was like, "What do you mean? What are you talking about?" She's like, "Your stomach is not expanding." She had this huge voice, like her stage whisper was so loud. I was like, "What is she doing?" But that was so good, because, it's like I'm in a voice class to be able to project on the stage, but it became a metaphysical experience, and it was another one of those things, like everything is a metaphysical experience if you let it be, right? Everything can wake you up and teach you. So breathing, that's like the number one thing. Go back to your breath. That is the gateway to ecstasy, honestly, like to releasing so much freaking crap. And then you might also need help with that. You might need a team of people or one person or I don't know what. And they can be visible or invisible, right? I have a wonderful team that keeps expanding in the invisible world, apparently. And I have people that are my go-to people. I'm very particular about who I work with, who I trust to really guide me, because I don't want to be coddled. I want to be told the truth. Like that's my teachers. That's what my teachers did. And I don't want someone to not hold me accountable. I want to be held accountable. So breathing, meditation, I love frankincense essential oil. I think it's just a brilliant master oil. Not from Walgreens, but a really good brand, really pure brand.
What's the difference? I mean, honestly, I've heard, oh, you have to get this pure. I really am uneducated.
Well, there are plenty of essential oils out there on the market now, and it has just exploded in the last several years because a company called doTERRA, I think, has really changed the marketplace. And that's the only brand I use now. I used to use other brands. There weren't many in 1988 in Ocean City, New Jersey. When I went into the
no, I imagine not.
So it was like,
oh, De Beer,
essential oils at the checkout. But thank God for those oils then, because that started a whole, that made me open to several years ago when my friend said, "Hey, take these with you on your cross-country trip." And I was like, okay. And it changed everything for me. But there's a lot of oils out there that are adulterated because they get oils from brokers who get them from a broker who, you don't know who the farmers are. You don't know who the distillers are. You don't know what's in the bottle. So I trust this brand of oils exclusively, in part because, it's done such incredible things for me with my colitis that I just never thought I'd have a break from, and now 7 years later, I still am symptom free. That's extraordinary to me, but it also supports my belief and trust in nature. I really believe that nature can take away so much, that we take away so many of our burdens, whether it's mental, physical, spiritual, emotional. You know, we just have to trust nature. That's why I love the beach. I love trees. I love birds. I love the grass, you know, because ever since I was a kid, I was fascinated by all these things. I used to pretend that the wind was talking to me with waves. You know, in retrospect, I can say, yeah, they were, you know, it wasn't my imagination. It was spirit really speaking to me through nature. So if we can trust nature, I just think, you know, there's so many options for us for our well-being. And, you know, there are scientists and researchers and doctors who can make medicines and equipment that can work and help us too, right? I don't want to ever discount or dismiss the allopathic model because, you know, my essential oils are not going to put a cast on my arm, you know. They might help soothe the tissue and help it heal faster, but, you know, they're not going to stitch my nose a few years ago when I fell, you know. So I want the emergency room available if I need it, you know. And I can go to the emergency room with my essential oils and say, this is what I took before I got here. You know, when I smashed my nose, you know, it was like, this is what I did. You know, this is my protocol before I showed up here for you to stitch my nose back. So,
Yes, Cinnamon says to remind you that doTERRA can be ingested.
yes, and there are plenty of doTERRA oils that can be ingested. And I would say the same thing if you were going to a store, a health food store. Some of those you cannot, and it will tell you on the bottle, you know. And that's when I look back from 1988 through the late 90s, that 10-year period where I was buying certain brands, multiple brands, and just playing around. Some of them, they would say, don't put it on your skin, and absolutely do not take it internally. You know, when you look at an oil like lemon, why wouldn't you be able to put that in your body? It comes, if you squeeze orange or a lemon, that oily stuff on the outside of it, that's the essential oil, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you not be able to put that in your body?
Yeah, so what else is in there, right?
Right.
Yeah, what else is in there? Yeah.
So,
You want to be able to trust the company that's
Mhm.
put it in
Exactly.
a bottle. You know, you want to know that they've done multiple testing. So
Yeah. So what are, besides the essential oils, can you tell us some of the other things, you know, that you do? I know Kitty goes to one of your classes, but just for the other
Yes.
people out there?
Yeah, so Kitty comes to my Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's an hour group on Zoom that I call Spirit Messages. And basically I let spirit speak. You know, sometimes it's Jesus might come through, or Michelangelo or John Lennon or Whitney Houston or Gandhi or Yogananda or Mother Mary or the ocean or the mountains, or, you know, some group of consciousness from far beyond where we could even imagine in the cosmos. And I usually, when we go into the Wednesday nights, I get 3 words or 3 phrases that we work with, and they're just woven together, wonderfully, magically, mystically. And sometimes I do individual messages, and that's been happening more. And I do that one-on-one with people, with clients too. We take an hour, and some people just want the messaging, but I'm trained with the shamanic work, so that comes in as well, you know. So if I were seeing someone in person, I might use my rattles or tuning forks or my drum, but I haven't seen anyone in person for that in a long time now. I'm open to that, maybe in June, but yeah.
Well, COVID stopped some of it.
Work. It's, you know, people would call it mediumship, channeling, you know, whatever they want to call it. Just say it's intuitive insight.
Now, like one of the things I have is stomach issues. If I came to you with something like that, would that be something you would like look at oils for? Or
Yeah, we would look at probably oils, but also like what might be the emotional underpinning there.
Mhm.
maybe your stomach is, you know, like an indication of how are you digesting, not just, you know, how have you been digesting life for the last 40 years, or, you know, what is this? Is this really something that started in your gut, or is it something that started as a little kernel of a thought many years ago when you were 14, and then it has just metastasized, you know, and it's made its presence known in your stomach?
Mhm.
And you have a website and stuff, right? So we can post that, or do you,
I
or
do,
how
but
would they get in contact?
it's new, it's not ready. It's joemonkman.com. Don't go there.
But you can go to your Facebook page, right?
Yes,
Okay.
they can go to my Facebook page. They can email me, they can call me, text me.
Okay,
know-
so we'll make sure we put all that stuff out there. So
Thank
if they
you.
want
Don't go to joemonkman.com yet.
You know what? That might
Okay.
actually work. You call it Joe Monkman, don't go there.
Oh, it's such a mess. It's
Well,
new,
but
it's not
honestly, if
finished.
you want a book read, you ban it. If you don't,
Right, don't read my book.
yeah, don't read my book, you ban it.
It's been banned in 20
don't
countries.
visit Joe.
Don't go to Joe Monkman.
Say
Don't
no
look
to
on
Joe.
Amazon
You
for
know?
my book.
You know,
Yeah, so
though you might look at the people that would be attracted to that. That might not be what you want to be working with anyway. So,
gonna have a
Oh,
public
that's
vote on my
funny.
website.
but
Does anybody else have any questions or anything that they wanna, anything? Just
or
move
observation.
on?
We did have somebody say what's your colitis recipe? I'm looking online.
Colitis recipe. There's an oil. It's the digestive blend from doTERRA called Digest Zen. And also I use the supplements from doTERRA. It was this combination of the supplements called the Lifelong Vitality Pack of supplements from doTERRA and the Digest Zen digestive blend from doTERRA that knocked it all out. And it was really the inflammation, I believe, that that was in my gut. I could never get a handle on it. And trust me, I tried with antibiotics and, you know, castor oil packs, rubbing warm olive oil on my gut, you know, acupuncture, body work, and a lot of deep emotional healing work. That's really what, you know, all of that, because for all those years that I suppressed stuff and I pushed it and pushed it and pushed it down and tried to hold onto it. But, you know, by the early 90s, it was like, it was like a volcano. And that's when I was so very aware, like the pain in my gut, you know, I would double over in pain on the streets of New York. It would just be horrible discomfort. And then my friend Roger Webb, God bless him, saying, hey, maybe this for your inflammation. It's amazing. So, yeah.
Sandra wrote a skin one for women to reduce wrinkles.
Frankincense. I use frankincense on my face every single day. I just dab it on. That's my skincare treatment.
You know, it's funny you say frankincense. All I can think of is the three wise men. Sorry, that's where I go.
Myrrh, and
Gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
there you go.
There's a little Catholic girl.
Sandra, I take it. Here's my bottle of frankincense. I'll show you. I just flip the bottle over and it's on my finger and I will just dab it on my trouble spots, and, you know, under my eyes. It's really great for the cells. It's really great for the brain health. It's great for the skin. It's great for the body's immune system. It's great for the body's inflammatory response. It's called, you know, the king of oils for a reason, you know, so it's really great. But again, I don't recommend that you go to Walgreens and buy frankincense off the shelf there, or Whole Foods or Fairway or anything like that. I get a good brand. I get a top-notch brand. So,
What about for allergies? Do you have something? Is there a blend or something?
you can just use a combination of lemon, lavender, peppermint. That can help with a lot of that. doTERRA has a respiratory blend that is phenomenal. Yeah, but sometimes for people that just, you know, lemon, lavender, and peppermint.
Okay.
with doTERRA, you can take it internally, so you could put 2 drops of each in about 4 ounces of water and drink it. It's, you know,
Mhm.
in a diffuser, or smell, get it on your skin. That can be very helpful.
Okay, now I'm gonna ask my
Try
favorite question.
Ease. There's a product called Try Ease. It's a capsule with the oils in it from doTERRA.
Oh,
Mhm.
Try Ease.
is
Great.
there anyone that you like more for meditation?
I love frankincense. There's an oil called Arbor Vitae I like, which is in the cedar.
That's a mean plant, let me tell you, arborvitae.
Those are sturdy master plants, trees, and those are what
Yeah.
I like about what doTERRA does with them. They have found a way to get the oil from the wood chips in Canada. So they're not going to waste, right, when they harvest these trees. And that oil in particular, a lot of the native populations in Canada have used it for sacred ceremony. So I like the wood oils for meditation,
Mhm.
like sandalwood, frankincense, arbor vitae, cedar wood, things that ground me. As soon as I smell them, it takes me inside.
Do you use a diffuser at all, or do you
I
just?
do. I have a diffuser right over there. You can't see it. It's on.
Mine's on right now too.
Yeah, I think I
Oh.
have candles behind me, but yeah, I use a diffuser every day throughout the day, because I work from home all the time now, all the time. So, yeah, the oils have kept me going, thank God. And meditation, and friends that I can talk to and support me. So,
Yeah, because it's the whole mindfulness way to set up your day is not, for me, was not very intuitive. It really took a structure.
yeah, I used to have to do ritually things, until it was so in me that it's just, I trust that it's there. So I don't meditate for an hour. Rarely will I do that. Maybe 20 minutes, sometimes less.
Yeah.
Before this, I just there's a great channel on YouTube called Meditative Mind that
Mhm.
has chants, and I go there for the Om. So before this, for about 15 minutes before I popped on here, I was just sitting here breathing and, listening and tuning into the Om. So that's what I do sometimes. And I used
I have
to
a question.
feathers
So,
and whatever. Whatever it
so if
takes.
somebody wanted to come and like, what would they come to you for, a shaman type thing? What would that look like?
Um,
Because you said you work with people, but so what does that?
yeah. In the past, people came for all sorts of things, and I said yes to almost everything at that time. I don't anymore. But people would come because they felt that they had entities or, ghosts clinging to them. People, wanted some work with ancestors, or, they wanted a straight out experience of shamanic journeying with the drum, um, to help get answers or expand their consciousness. Some people would come because they had a chronic physical condition, or they had, deep emotional stuff that they wanted to dive into, that they felt like maybe they were working with a therapist for a long time or other medical professionals, but they wanted something for them that was alternative. So, but now I took a break. I really was not, felt very called to, when I left New York and went to Southern California 10 years ago. I just heard let it all go, and it was a complete breakdown of identity for me 10 years ago. Over the last 10 years, And now coming back here, I feel like, oh, I'm ready to branch out again. I'm really ready to step out into the world because I don't have, from what I can see, the same kind of ego identity. You know, I'm sure it will crop up here and there. I don't know. I welcome it, but who knows? I see that I don't want to work in the same way. So I'm not attracted to people that have the need for an ongoing, deeper work. I will refer people out now for that because there are plenty of people doing the work now that I started doing well over 20 years ago. So I figure let those people do that kind of work with those. And I love doing spirit messages. I love that kind of work now more than I thought I would, you know, because it's been such an organic process.
That's very cool. All right. So now I'm going to ask you, do you have a spirit message for us?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
you?
Oh, okay.
On the spot. There you go.
Yeah, hold on, let me just tune in here. Just a general message, yes. Is that what you're looking for? So yes, so clarity and calm, that's your guiding light through, well, April, but also May, June, July. Make that your guiding light, that guiding force, clarity and calm. If you can set that intention and really hold true to it, you know, it's from what I'm hearing on the inner realm, it's going to be a really nice summer here in the United States, North America, and elsewhere in the world. We have shifted a lot of the collective consciousness since January, since the inauguration in January. There's been a real leveling off, and that is only going to expand over the course of the summer, from what I hear on the inner plane. And then I think there's, you know, what I keep hearing in September, we're just going to have a big download of energy on the planet. And, you know, to anchor in clarity and calm, and just to ask yourself and your guides and your human support system to help you stay in that place. And that's our daily mindfulness practice anyway, right? We want to really be checking in with every thought, every breath, like, oh, which direction am I going in? And you know, the universe is here to support our joy, our absolute, utter, unbridled joy. And that's another thing that if we can really latch on that and understand that, we're not here to suffer. You know, I think the Western mind has taken the Buddhist exploration of suffering to an extreme that they've made it like a way that I don't think that the Buddhist teachings are meant to be. Like, yes, suffering can, you know, teach you many things if you let it. And, you know, certainly Thich Nhat Hanh's very famous words of no mud, no lotus does hold true. But I don't believe that, you know, I think we can evolve out of suffering from the path of learning. And just, you know, we might experience physical pain, but suffering can be optional, you know. And I think there are plenty of examples of this from people that have come before us and that are walking amongst us now. So, I mean, read Byron Katie, read Thich Nhat Hanh, read Pema Chodron, read any of the great teachings from the past. You know, life is freaking amazing, right? Life is amazing. And we all know when we're going into that path, but if we can go there, if we know we are going there, we can catch ourselves and say, oh, please, clarity and calm, please, clarity and calm, our vibration can start to go back up. So, but intend for a really good, calm summer for yourself. And, you know, no matter what comes along, I'm sure you will be able to navigate it with, you know, just extraordinary grace. So, yeah.
That's lovely. Thank you.
I know that. Yes, very much.
Thank you very much, Joe. We
You are
appreciate
so
it.
welcome. Thank you
Really,
so much.
really
Amy.
enjoyed it. And thank you all.
Nice
Intuition.
meeting you, Sandra and Marcia. Hi, Cinnamon. Bye, Cinnamon.
There's like 9 or 10 people watching you online. So,
Okay.
but so thank you so much. And we'll be in contact because I know we'll want to do something about a show about essential oils. So,
Okay, cool.
all right.
All right.
Take
That
care.
sounds great. Thank
All
you,
right.
everybody. Ciao for now. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.